It's Merger Wednesday. The countdown continues. 7 years until the convergence of biology and machine. Neural interfaces are no longer theory. They're the scaffolding of a new consciousness. But what does that mean for identity? For free will, for the soul? This is where we build the frameworks for ethical, philosophical, and spiritual growth for the next phase of human evolution. We're not just upgrading hardware. We're rewriting what it means to be human. Each week, we explore the biotech breakthroughs, decode the cognitive shifts, and prepare the mind for the merge. This isn't about fear, it's about readiness. Because the future isn't waiting. It's already wiring in. This is about preparing human consciousness for the most significant leap in our species' history. If you think this is just about chips and brains, you're not ready. But we'll get you there, one Wednesday at a time. So sit back and relax as we take you on a journey on Merger Wednesday.
Welcome to the Final Boss Podcast. This is Merger Wednesdays. Listen, this is episode number 5 of Merger Wednesdays and episode number 171 of the Final Boss Podcast. Thank you all for joining us. It is amazing to be here per usual. Hey, Chrissy, I see you. WG, BM, you know who you are. I see you. Thank you for joining us. Look, I have a great show for you tonight, man. We're going to be talking about a heavy topic. I need you guys to take the moment now while I go through the admin notes to go get your pen and paper because you're going to need to take some notes tonight. We're going heavy. We're going dissertation level, like understanding. I need you to take some notes. While we're at it, look, make sure you go get Go Time. If you haven't gotten it, go get Go Time. All aboard the Fired Up train. This is the motivation manual, motivation workbook. You need to go get Go Time. 330 pages of Go Time, motivation, discipline, including the 6 pillars of success, the cornerstone of magnificence, the momentum code, understanding and developing your why, right? After you discover it, you need to go get Go Time to tell you exactly how to do all of that and all those processes with these necessary principles of life and motivation. Yes, salute to you, Miss Lady. I see you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. And to each and every last single one of you, no matter where you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And welcome to the show. Look, I have some apologies to make. Look, little things you guys don't know about me. I suffer from neuropathy, a permanent nerve damage from an injury I suffered when I was in Iraq. And I've been bedridden all day, but I mustered up the energy. I'm drinking some Java juice to give me the energy to keep me going. Chikandi, good evening. Listen, Chikandi, Chris, Andrea, and everyone else that's on right now, go get pen and paper. This is the episode that you're going to need to take notes, right? We're going heavy into the topic, which will start very shortly after I get out the admin notes. Look, no matter where you're seeing us, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. I always forget TikTok, but we're on TikTok too. Heavy on TikTok, actually. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Instagram, and for all your listening pleasures, Spotify. I have not figured out how to get onto Apple yet. Let me not say I have not figured out. There's a point of frustration, and I'm frustrated with trying to get on Apple Podcasts, but we'll get back to that. Hopefully, that issue will be hashed out on for season 4. Listen, we're at episode number 171. On our way to 200. Episode number 201 would start season 4. Season 4 will be about the rebirth. This season is about the reckoning. We're in the reckoning right now. Season 4, we're going to be talking about the rebirth, right? So, if if you want to see all of our episodes, spread the word, man. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Go get Go Time, right? Like, share, subscribe. Go get Go Time. What was I thinking? Oh, yes. And check out our website, man, and get all of the episodes at www.thefinalbosspodcast.com. That's www.thefinalbosspodcast.com for all of our podcast episodes. Also on there, we have our email address. If you want to shoot us an email, shoot us an email at info at thefinalbosspodcast.com. info at thefinalbosspodcast for all of our emails. And please look, we're growing. We're growing together, right? We're on this journey together, right? We're building the Final Boss Podcast community. We're building the Final Boss Podcast Nation. We're building all of these different elements that will be a part of the Final Boss, right? We're securing all of our intellectual properties, right? IPs are very important, and we're going to talk about IPs. We're going to get into an episode for my business people or for anyone who's interested in starting a business and getting into making sure you secure your intellectual properties, because in the near future, listen, something's coming, something's big is coming. And if you haven't secured your intellectual properties, you might be caught in a situation where somebody's using your stuff without your permission. So make sure you secure your intellectual property. We're going to talk about that, man. But tonight, this is episode number 5 of Merger Wednesdays. Look, I see you. Look, don't leave, man. We're just getting started. We're just getting started. We're just getting started, right? So let's get into it. I got all the admin notes out. I got my greeting out. Let's get into tonight's episode, right? So listen. What if I told you that right now, scientists are editing human DNA like you edit a Word document? Cut, paste, delete, rewrite, wash, rinse, repeat, right? If you didn't know that, well, you're about to find out, right? Because this is the Final Boss Podcast, episode number 171. I am your host, the architect of insight, the one and only, the Final Boss. And tonight, we're talking about the technology that's literally rewriting what it means to be human. Welcome to Merger Wednesdays, right? And if you didn't know, now you know. This is where we don't speculate, we investigate, where we don't fantasize, we analyze, and where every single word you hear is backed by verifiable research, real science, and the kind of vibe energy that separates final bosses from the chess pieces. Tonight is episode number 5, Crispr, rewriting your genetic code. And before you think this is a science fiction, understand this. This is science now. Go phrase that. I just coined it. Well, I've been coining it. I've been coining that phrase since season 1. This isn't science fiction. This is science now. And understand this. There are children alive today who are actually genetically edited before they were born. There are adults walking around with modified immune systems who are fighting cancer. And there are laboratories right now working on genetic enhancements that will make the merger of human and machine consciousness not just possible, but inevitable, right? The vibe energy tonight, it's precise, right? Hey, Fire Spider, how you doing? The vibe energy tonight, it's precise. It's surgical. It's the frequency of transformation at the molecular level. So lock in, Final Bosses, because for the next hour, we're going deep into this very topic, right? CRISPR. That's what we're going to be talking about. But before we dive into the brass tacks of the evening, And I think I'm going to change the brass tacks to something catchy. I'll figure that out. I'll figure that part out. But the brass tacks may be going away verbally, but not in totality, right? So let's set the foundation. Of course, you know, this is Merger Wednesdays, right? Not entertainment, not theory, but doctoral level content designed for the critical thinkers, the curious minds, the smarts who understand that we're discussing, right? That we're discussing infrastructure for the 3-layer architecture I've been building for you. And here's a quick reminder. Hello, Jesse. How you doing? Here's a quick reminder of where we've been. Episode 1 of Merger Wednesdays, we introduced the merger concept. Episode 2 of Merger, we introduced neural interfaces and Neuralink. Episode 3, we introduced quantum consciousness bridges. In episode 4, yes, God loves you too. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Hey, look, man, shout out to the good Lord above, man. Shout out to the good Lord above and everybody out there who's worshiping like they're supposed to, right? All right. That's my guy right there, right? In episode 4, the ethics of enhancement. And tonight we're going to be talking about in episode 5, we're examining the biological foundation. The code itself, your genetic code, the 3.2 billion base pairs that determine everything from your eye color to your cognitive processing speed. Wait, that's a mouthful. Hold on. Let me restate that. From your eye color, right, to your cognitive processing speed, to your susceptibility to disease, right? Mouthful. And here's the vibe energy shift, right? We're not just talking about fixing genetic diseases anymore. We're talking about upgrading the human operating system. We're talking about rewriting the source code of human consciousness to prepare it for the merger, right? And this is book material. This is dissertation research. This is the kind of content the Final Boss community doesn't just consume. You study it, you reference it, you build on it. And tonight's framework, we'll cover the science, the application, the implications, and the merger connection. And we'll do it with military precision. Listen, I had 23 years of federal service. It all is connected. I've been an entrepreneurial since I was 18 years old. The vibe energy of someone who's built multiple companies from the ground up, and we're going to get right into it, man. So listen, let's get into the brass tacks of the evening. Let's get into the brass tacks. And here's your brass tacks for tonight. Lock this in, because we're locked in. The ability to edit human DNA is not a future technology. It's a present reality. The question is not whether we will merge human and artificial consciousness, but who will control the genetic foundation upon which that merger is built. And I'm gonna read that again, right? I'm actually reading the brass tacks, right? So here it is again. The ability to edit DNA is not a future technology. It's a present reality. The question is not whether we will merge human and artificial consciousness, but who will control the genetic foundation upon that merger that is built. And that quote, my friends, comes from none other but yours truly. Yours truly, right? So, got the brass tacks out the way. Now, let me say this again. To my warriors in the back, thank you for being here. Don't you go nowhere. To my warriors who will control the genetic foundation. Because right now, as I speak to you at 9 p.m. Eastern time, there are corporations, governments, and research institutions editing genes. And if you're not paying attention, if you're not understanding the vibe energy of this moment, you're going to wake up one day in a world where genetic enhancements is only available to those who can afford it. only accessible to those who have the knowledge, only controlled by those who have the power. That's not the future I'm building here on the Final Boss podcast. That's not the vibe energy we're cultivating in this community. We're here to understand the technology so we can navigate the transformation with complete sovereignty, right? The brass tacks is knowledge, and that knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is sovereignty, right? So, all right, listen up. Final bosses, listen, right? Let's break down what CRISPR actually is, right? CRISPR stands for clustered, regularly interspaced, short, planodromic repeats. I know for a fact that sounds like something from a sci-fi briefing from one of these crazy movies, right? But here's the vibe energy translation. It's a molecular tool that acts like a genetic GPS and a surgical scalpel combined, right? And here's how it was discovered. Scientists studying how bacteria fight off viruses noticed something incredible. They noticed that the bacteria were capturing pieces of viral DNA and storing them as memory bank. Then, when that virus attacked again, the bacteria would use an enzyme called Cas9 to cut the viral DNA at precisely the right spot to destroy it. Hey, hello, Q fans. How you doing? Glad you could join us. Get other people. Tell everybody to come on over. Come on over to the Final Boss podcast, right? Think about the vibe energy for a second. Single-celled organisms have been editing genetic code for millions of years, and we've just figured out how to hijack their system. The breakthrough came, and get this, the breakthrough came in 2012 when Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier published their research showing that CRISPR-Cas9 could be programmed to cut any DNA sequence you want, not just viral DNA, any DNA, right? That's like discovering fire. That's like inventing the wheel. And we're always talking about the wheel on the Final Boss. Listen, don't you go nowhere. Stay right there. I see you. Listen, take some notes. That's a foundational technology shift. And here's the mechanics in simple terms, right? Number one, they had guide RNA. Guide RNA acts as the GPS, right? It's programmed to find a specific genetic sequence. Cas9 enzyme acts as the molecular scissors, right? Cutting that very DNA at that precise location, right? And then you have the cell repair, because it will repair itself. And that's the cell's natural repair mechanisms that kick in. You can either delete the gene, repair it, or insert new genetic code. The precision is what matters here. We're not talking about editing at the level of individual letters in their genetic code. We're talking about 3.2 billion letters, right? And we can target one specific sequence. That's not just science. That's power. That's the kind of precision that makes the merger possible, right? And here's how it works. Let's get into the mechanics, right? Because my smarts community doesn't do surface level research, right? They are locked in, right? Your DNA is a double helix, 2 strands wrapped around each other. Each strand is made up of 4 chemical bases: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cysteine, right? ATGC. These bases pair up in specific ways. A with T, G with C. That's your genetic code. When CRISPR enters the scene, here's the sequence. Step 1, right? Step 1, target identification. They target and guide RNA that is designed with a sequence that matches the target gene. It's like programming a missile with the exact coordinates. The vibe energy here is intentionality, right? You have to know what you're targeting, right? And step two, thanks, Chikandi. Thank you. You better be taking notes, man. You better be taking notes, Chikandi. I'm going to ask you some questions. AAR, right? Step two, DNA binding. This Cas9 enzyme, which is guided by RNA, scans through your entire genome, all 3.2 billion base pairs until it finds the exact match. And when it finds it, it locks on. We're all locked on. We're locked in. The precision rate is 99.9%. That's better than most human surgeons, right? And step three, you have the DNA cutting. This is where Cas9 cuts both strands of the DNA double helix at the targeted location. This creates what scientists call a double strand break. Your cell, right? Your cell recognizes this as damage and immediately activates repair mechanisms, right? We talked about cells repairing themselves earlier, right? And then step four, repair and editing. This is where the magic happens, right? This is where the two pairs, the two main repair pathways repair themselves, right? The cell quickly glues the DNA back together, often introducing errors that disable the gene. This is useful for deleting harmful genetics or harmful genes. I'm sorry. The homology directed repair, or HDR, it's like a template, right? A template, a piece of the DNA with the sequence that you want, that the scientists and researchers are looking for, right? And that cell uses the template to repair the break. This is how you insert new genes or correct mutations. So basically what they're doing is they're finding the exact match of the cell that they're looking for. They're finding the match, and that match says, okay, we can communicate. And because we're able to communicate with each other, you look friendly to me. So because you are a friend, I am open to you. So you're able to open up the cell, insert the new gene. If you want to keep it, delete it. If you want to enhance it, you can do that. And if you want to program it, you can do that. That's what it's all about, right? And the vibe energy of this process is transformational. You're not just observing biology, you're directing it. You're not just accepting your genetic inheritance, you're rewriting it. And this is happening in laboratories, hospitals, and research facilities right now. Not in 2050, not in some distant future. It is not science fiction, people. This is science now, right? Look, let's talk about real world applications, right? Let's talk about real world applications, because this isn't theory. This is deployed right now technology, right? Let's talk about sickle cell, right? Man, let's talk about sickle cell. In 2023, the FDA approved the first CRISPR-based therapy called Casgevy. This treatment is curing people with sickle cell disease, a genetic disorder that affects millions. The treatment removes the stem cells from the patient, uses CRISPR to fix the genetic mutation, and then reinfuses the corrected cells back into the patient. The results, functional cures. People who have lived with chronic pain, organ damage, and shortened lifespans are now living normal lives, right? The vibe energy here, right? That's not incremental improvement. That's transformation, right? Application number two, the cancer immunotherapy, right? The cancer immunotherapy, right? Researchers are using CRISPR to edit immune cells, specifically T cells, to better recognize and attack cancer. They're removing the off switch that tumors use to hide from the immune system and enhancing the T cell's ability to target cancer cells, right? Clinical trials at the University of Pennsylvania and other institutions have shown remarkable results in patients with advanced cancers who had no other options, right? In application number three, Application number 3 is inherited blindness. CRISPR is being used to treat Leber congenital asperosis, a genetic form of blindness. The therapy is injected directly into the eye, editing the cells of the retina to restore vision. And this is a big one. The next one is application number 4, HIV resistance. Scientists are editing the CCR5 gene, the doorway HIV uses to enter cells to make people functionally immune to HIV infection. This is based on naturally occurring mutations found in about 1% of people of Northern European descent. And here's what the final boss community needs to understand, right? Listen up, final bosses. These are FDA approved or late stage clinical trial applications. This isn't experimental. This isn't the wild, wild west. This is deployed, regulated, and operational medical technology. The vibe energy is shifting from can we do this to how widely will we do this, right? How widely we would do this, right? Now here's where getting to sovereignty, the sovereignty question that everybody wants to know about, right? Or they're thinking about, since I mentioned it in the beginning. There's a clear line, right? There's a clear line, at least now, between therapeutic editing and enhancement editing, right? Therapeutic editing is fixing genetic diseases, curing cancer, restoring vision. This is bringing people to a baseline of health. The medical community, the enthusiasts, the ethicists, and most governments are aligned. This is acceptable, even morally imperative, right? But enhancement editing, right? Increasing muscle mass beyond natural limits, boosting cognitive processing, extending lifespan, enhancing memory. This is about going beyond the natural human baseline. And here's where the vibe energy gets controversial. In 2018, let me drink some of my Java juice, please. In 2018, a Chinese scientist named Jinkudi, right, edited the genes of twin girls before they were born, making them resistant to HIV. The global scientific community condemned this, not because it didn't work, but because we had crossed the line. Those girls will pass those edited genes to their children. We edited the human germline, the permanent code of our species. Professor He went to prison, but the technology didn't disappear. The question isn't whether enhancement will happen, it's when and who controls it, right? Because right now, there are laboratories in countries with different ethical frameworks, and they're exploring these very things. They're exploring enhanced cognitive abilities. They're exploring disease resistance beyond natural levels. They're exploring extended human lifespan. They're exploring optimized athletic performance at a genetic level. And the vibe energy of this moment, right, is we're at a decision-making point as a species, right? Do we accept genetic enhancements? Do we regulate it? Do we restrict it to the wealthy? Or do we do we democratize it, right? As a dual theater combat veteran, listen, I can tell you, technology doesn't wait for society to be ready. Technology forces society to adapt. The final boss's mindset, right? We don't fear the technology. We understand it, because understanding it is the first step to sovereignty. Now, to my final bosses, to my warriors, to my motivators, to my smarts, right? This is where Merger Wednesdays earns its name. This is where we connect CRISPR to the 3-layer architecture of human AI consciousness merger. Because remember the frameworks, right? We got layer 1, smart blood, nanoscale sensors in your bloodstream. Layer 2, nanobots, programmable machines at the cellular level. Layer 3, smart dust, neural dust sensors throughout your brain, right? And CRISPR is the foundation that makes all 3 layers possible. And here's why, right? The foundation 1 is biocompatibility. For nanobots and smart blood to function in your body without triggering immune rejection, we need to edit the genes that control immune response. CRISPR allows us to create stealth modifications that your immune system won't attack. Current research at MIT, Stanford, and Stanford are using CRISPR to edit immune cells to accept synthetic biological components. The vibe energy here is your body learning to recognize technology as self, right? Foundation number 2, cellular receptors, right? For smart dust neural sensors to interface with your neurons, those neurons need the right receptor proteins. CRISPR can insert genes that express new receptor types, essentially creating new ports in your neurons for technology interface. This isn't speculation, people. Research published in Nature Biotechnology in 2024 demonstrated that CRISPR-edited neurons accepting synthetic ion channels was real. Oh, what'd you say, Andrea? I'll be having talk to Dr. TVAD. Let's go. And foundation number 3, the metabolic optimization. The merger will require energy. Your brain already uses 20% of your body's energy while being only 2% of the body weight. You add computational interfaces and that energy demand skyrockets, right? CRISPR research is exploring genetic modifications to the mitochondria, right? Your cellular power plants to increase energy production efficiency. The vibe energy here is upgrading your biological battery to support hybrid consciousness, right? And foundation number 4 is longevity. Longevity of the emerged consciousness is pointless if the biological substrate dies in 80 years. CRISPR targets on aging include telomere extension genes, DNA repair mechanism enhancements, senescent cell clearance optimization. The merger requires a biological foundation that can sustain hybrid existence for centuries, not decades. And here's the brass tacks, right? CRISPR isn't just a medical technology. It's the first step in preparing human biology for consciousness merger. It's the operating system upgrade that makes the hardware compatible with the software. And this is already happening, people. It's happening right now. Now let's pivot. Let's pivot and go a little deeper into the consciousness question, because this is where science meets philosophy. This is where the smarts community needs to pay attention, right? The question, can genetic editing prepare consciousness for merger, right? And here's the framework. Concept 1, right? Neuroplasticity genes, your brain's ability to form new connections. The neuroplasticity is partially controlled by genes like brain-derived neurotrophic factors, or BDNF, right? CRISPR research is showing that upregulating BDNF expression increases learning speed, memory formation, and adaptability. Why does this matter for a merger? Because a consciousness that can rapidly adapt and form new neural pathways can more easily integrate with artificial neural networks, right? And the vibe energy here is genetic preparation for hybrid thinking, right? Concept number 2, right? Concept number 2 is the synaptic density optimization. The number and quality of synaptic connections in your brain directly correlates with cognitive capacity. Genes like synapse and SHANK3 regulate the synapses formation. Researchers at Harvard and MIT are exploring CRISPR modifications to optimize synaptic density without causing the overconnectivity that leads to conditions like autism or epilepsy, right? The merger application is increasing the number of connection points available for neural interface, right? And concept number 3, this is the neurotransmitter, making it efficient, right? With efficacy and precision, right? Your consciousness operates on chemical signals like dopamine, serotonin, and glutamate, right? GABA, right? The genes that control production receptor sensitivity and reuptake of these neurotransmitters can be edited for optimization. This isn't about getting high, it's about creating a neurochemical environment that can maintain stable consciousness while interfacing with artificial systems, right? And concept number 4, this is the quantum coherence of proteins. This is cutting edge, man. Research suggests that quantum effects might play a role in consciousness, right? The Penrose Halfroth orchestrated objective reduction theory, man, that was a mouthful. Sheesh. Listen, certain proteins called microtubules might maintain quantum coherence in neurons. CRISPR research is exploring whether we can enhance expression of these proteins, potentially increasing the quantum computational capacity of biological consciousness. The vibe energy here is preparing human consciousness to operate at both classical and quantum levels simultaneously. And here's what every final boss needs to understand. Consciousness isn't just an energy property of neurons firing. It's a complex system influenced by genetics, neurochemistry, structure, and potentially quantum mechanics. CRISPR gives us the tools to optimize that system for merger, right? Not in science fiction, not in theory, in verifiable research backed by reality. Backed by reality, people. It's not science fiction, it's science now, right? Now let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room because this is what we are all about on the Final Boss podcast. And this is what we're building on the Final Boss podcast, Final Boss community, right? And Final Boss Nation. Ethics, right? Ethics, right? My degree, my doctoral level degree is going to be in AI foundations and AI ethical considerations, right? And this is something I want you to know, final bosses, motivators, smarts, and warriors. Community doesn't shy away from the hard question. We face them with the vibe energy of truth seekers and the responsibility of warriors, right? The ethical question here is, if we edit embryos, those humans never consented to genetic modification. They'll live their entire lives and pass on those modifications based on decisions made by parents, scientists, and people who were involved in their birth before they were born. The center argument, right, is that parents already make countless decisions that permanently affect their children. Prenatal nutrition, education, environment all shape a person into who they become. Is genetic editing fundamentally different? That's the question, right? And here's another question, right? Because right now, CRISPR therapy costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. If genetic enhancement becomes available, will it only be accessible to the wealthy? Do we create a genetic uh, um, aristocracy, right? Do we? The final boss's perspective of knowledge must be democratized. That's why we're having this conversation on this very free podcast at 9 p.m. every Wednesday or Merger Wednesday, because sovereignty requires access, right? And here's another question. Genes don't work in isolation. Editing one gene can have cascading effects throughout the genome, right? We might cure one disease and accidentally create another, right? The scientific response is that's why we test. That's why we proceed carefully. But proceeding carefully doesn't mean not proceeding, right? What after all this genetic enhancements, we develop something called a technovirus, right? A technovirus, a virus within the human body that's primarily based in technology. Sounds interesting, right? And here's an ethical question. Does that change what does it mean to be human, right? If we edit our genes, enhance our cognition, extend our lifespan, merge with machines, and we still human? That's the question. And does that question even matter? Listen, my take on it as a combat veteran, as a father, and as someone who has seen the best and worst of humanity, right? Being human has never been about our genetic code. It's been about our consciousness, our values, and our capacity for growth and transformation. CRISPR doesn't make us less human, it makes us more capable of expressing our humanity. The vibe energy here, evolution, isn't just natural selection anymore, it's conscious selection. And that shift requires responsibility. Now, let's get to the rubber that meets the road. Let's get concrete, right? Because we're talking about real patients, real results, real data, right? There are several case studies out there that you can go research, right? And in that research, you'll find that there are patients out there with advanced treatment resistant cancers, and they received CRISPR edited T cells. The cells were modified to better recognize cancer and resist tumor defense mechanisms, right? There are two patients that showed significant results, right? I don't know what happened. That's crazy. Their cells were modified to better recognize cancer and resist tumor, right? There have been other patients who had significant tumor reduction. One patient achieved complete remission. All three survived longer than expected based on their prognosis. What the Final Boss community needs to hear, these aren't isolated miracles. These are reproducible results from scalable technology. The infrastructure for widespread genetic editing is being built right now. The question is whether you'll be prepared when it becomes available to you, right? And let's talk about where this is going, because this isn't speculation, but extrapolation from current research trajectories, right? Current CRISPR theories mostly require removing cells, editing them in a lab, and reinfusing them, right? The next wave will be direct vivo editing. You inject CRISPR therapeutics that target specific organs while in your body. Researchers at Berkeley and MIT have demonstrated liver editing in living mice with 50% efficiency. Human trials are beginning now. The vibe energy here is it goes from laboratory procedure to outpatient injection, right? Trajectory number 2. This is the multi-gene edits, right? This is current therapies mostly targeting single genes. The next generation of simultaneous editing of multiple genes to address complex conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and aging itself. There are published roadmaps from the Broad Institute and Innovative Genomics Institute show clear pathways to combinatorial editing. And trajectory number 3, the controversial frontier. This is editing embryos. Editing embryos will become medically acceptable for preventing severe genetic diseases. First in countries with less restrictive regulations, then gradually worldwide. The momentum is already building. Several countries have less restrictive frameworks than the US, right? Trajectory number 4. Once therapeutic editing is normalized, the line enhancement will blur. Cognitive optimization, longevity extension, disease prevention, these will transition from radical to routine. And to my final bosses, right? This is the final boss prediction. By 2040, not having some form of genetic optimization will be like not having vaccinations today. It'll be a choice, but increasingly rare, right? It's your decision, right? All of this creates the biological infrastructure for consciousness merger. Immune systems that accept synthetic biology, enhance neural receptivity, optimize energy metabolism, extended biological lifespans, right? Genetically prepared consciousness. The vibe energy here is we're not just editing genes. We're preparing humanity for the next phase of evolution. And that preparation is happening now in 2026 while you're listening to this very podcast, right? Absolutely, Condi. Absolutely. Now let's bring this all together full circle, right? Let's bring it full circle. 3-layer architecture, the framework I've been building throughout this Merger Wednesday series. We talked about layer 1, that's smart blood, right? CRISPR enables smart blood by editing immune cells to accept nanosensors as non-foreign, optimizing blood cell production for carrying sensor payloads, creating receptor proteins that allow blood cells to interface with nanoscale technology. Current status, gene therapies are already creating modified blood cells. Adding sensor integration is the next step. Layer 2, nanobots. CRISPR enables nanobots by editing cellular membranes to allow nanobot passage, creating intracellular docking stations via receptor gene insertion, right? Optimizing cellular repair mechanics to work with nanoscale interventions. The current status right now is biocompatibility research is demonstrating edited cells accepting synthetic structures. And layer 3, this is the smart dust layer. This is where CRISPR enables smart dust by inserting genes for synthetic ion channels in neurons, optimizing synaptic proteins for artificial interface, enhancing neuroplasticity to adapt to sensor presence. The current status is neural interface research is showing CRISPR edit neurons forming stable connections with electronic components, and it's happening now. Not science fiction, people, science now, right? And here's the synthesis, right? The 3-layer architecture isn't 3 separate technologies. It's one integrated system where CRISPR provides the genetic foundation, smart blood provides the circular infrastructure, nanobots provide the circular interface, and smart dust provides the neural bridge. And every layer is supported by verifiable research happening right now in 2026. The vibe energy here is this isn't a distant future. This is a present trajectory. And Final Boss community is tracking it right now in real time. Your genetic code isn't just your inheritance anymore. It's your foundation for transformation. And CRISPR is the tool that makes the foundation editable, right? From chess piece to chess master means understanding that the game itself is changing, and those who understand the new rules will be the ones who master the new game. And I'm here to tell you the information that I'm providing for you is no other than the information about vaccines and other medical operations and procedures that you don't even know about. You don't even know about the information about the vaccine, about these certain procedures and operations. You don't know about it. You just accept it and you get it done. I'm fast forwarding you to the information so when it happens, you know what's going on, right? That is what's happening right here. So you will already know. This is about being informed. This isn't here to scare you. This isn't saying, hey, this is what you're going to have to do. I'm informing you of what is coming, right? Or what is happening, I should say. Because some of these vaccines, you don't know how they were made. You don't know how they came together. You don't even know what's in them, right? When you go to the doc and the doc tells you that you have to get a medical procedure, you don't know what they're doing to get the medical procedure done. You haven't done the research on what it means to get a hip replacement, right? Or when they are doing your back surgery or what have you, you don't have any. You get it done. The doctor tells you need it, you get it done. A lot of people don't do the research on those particular procedures, just like they don't do research on the vaccines or any of that information. What I'm providing you is the information of what's to come, right? Now, let's fast forward, right? Motivators, final bosses, warriors, smarts. Let's make this actionable, right? Because knowledge without application is just entertainment, and we're not here to entertain. And here's what's going to, we're here to transform, right? Do your own research. Research your own genetic predispositions. Services like 23andMe, Ancestry DNA provide base genetic profiles, right? And there are many others. Understand what genes you carry that might benefit from future CRISPR therapies. Learn from family medical history, your family medical history. These are the genetic patterns you may want to modify, right? Now, action number 2. Subscribe to Nature Biotechnology, Cell Science journals, right? Follow the Broad Institute. Follow Innovative Genomics Institute, right? Follow the NIH genomic databases. Track FDA approvals of CRISPR therapies. The vibe energy here is be ahead of the curve, not behind it. That's basically what I'm saying, guys, right? Listen, chat. Genetic therapies are expensive, right? Like all things that are new, they're expensive, but they will become affordable. When cell phones first came out, you couldn't afford them. When these large screen TVs came out, you could not afford them, right? But now you can. This is no different. Start health savings accounts, right? With genetic therapy in mind. Research insurance coverage trends for genetic medicine. The final boss mindset here is sovereignty requires resources, right? Now, the ethical framework. Decide your personal boundaries on genetic editing. What would you edit to cure disease? What would you edit to enhance ability? Where's your line? Don't let society decide for you. Decide for yourself, right? And keep the community engagement going. Engage this content with the Final Boss community. Engage it and share it with perspectives on genetic sovereignty. Like, share, subscribe. And if you work for VED, listen, spread it to your coworkers, right? Right? Debate these ethical questions. The vibe energy here is collective intelligence amplifies individual understanding. And here's an action item for you. Prepare your kids, right? If you're a parent or planning to understand that your decisions about genetic editing might affect your children, right? Stay informed about prenatal genetic testing advances. Consider what genetic heritage do you want to pass on. The warriors know preparation defeats luck. Sovereignty requires action. This episode isn't just informational. It's call to preparedness. It's a call to preparedness, right? Now, in closing, right? Oh, we're going to end on time tonight. In closing, Final Bosses, we've covered a lot in the last hour. Let's recap the vibe energy of tonight, right? Give me a second. CRISPR isn't science fiction. Don't go nowhere. Stay right there. Don't you go nowhere. We're almost done. Isn't science fiction. It's science now. It's deployed medical technology in 2026. It's curing genetic diseases, treating cancer, restoring vision, and laying the genetic foundation for human AI consciousness, right? The 3-layer architecture I've been building throughout Merger Wednesdays, Smart Blood, Nanobots, Smart Dust, all require genetic preparation, which is CRISPR. That's the preparation tool. We're not talking about a distant future. We're talking about now, today, this year. And the question every final boss, motivator, smarts, and warriors must answer: will you be a passive observer of this transformation or an active participant in your own genetic sovereignty? Remember the brass tacks from tonight. The ability to edit human DNA is not future technology. It's a present reality. The question is not whether we will merge human and artificial consciousness, but who will control the genetic foundation upon which the merger is built. The vibe energy of this community, for my final bosses, my smarts, my motivators, my warriors, is empowerment through knowledge. Empowerment through knowledge, right? And some of the resources that you can go research right now is Donda or Dudna, I'm sorry, Dudna and Charpenter 2012, original CRISPR Cas9 paper. FDA Casgevy approved documentation 2023. Nature Biotechnology Neural Interface Gene Editing Studies 2024. Cell Germline Editing Research Complications. And here's some of the research institutions. Broad Institute. You can research them at broadinstitute.org. Innovative Genomics Institute, innovativegenomics.org, NIH, National Human Genome Research Institute, genome.gov. And some of the books out there, man: A Crack in Creation by Jennifer Doudna, The Code Breaker by Walter Isaacson, Regenesis by George Church and Ed Regis. There are even documentaries out there. Human Nature 2019, CRISPR documentary. Netflix, Unnatural Selection series, right? And for you continue learning, listen, go get Go Time, right? Go get Go Time and add it to your continued learning, right? Subscribe to the Final Boss Podcast for Merger Wednesdays every week, right? Like, share, subscribe. Join the Final Boss community on Instagram at the Final Boss Podcast. Next week, it'll be episode 6 of Merger. We're going even deeper, right? This has been episode number 171 of the Final Boss Podcast. I am the one and only, the architect of insight, the one and only, the Final Boss, right? I'm a 2 combat theater veteran, CEO of an IT company, also the CEO of Final Boss Podcast, LLC, right? I'm a father, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm your guide through the merger of human and artificial consciousness. The vibe energy tonight was precision. It was transformation. It was the frequency of genetic sovereignty. And remember, from chess piece to chess master, from passive genetic inheritance to active genetic direction, the merge is coming. The question is, will you be ready? Stay fired up, good people. Stay sovereign, and most important, stay Final Boss. Right? Until next Merger Wednesdays, keep your vibe energy high. And tonight, this was our show. I greatly appreciate each and every last single one of you for joining us. And to all of you, no matter where you're watching, if you're watching from Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitch, Kick, TikTok, and Spotify, this has been the Final Boss Podcast. And if all of this resonates with you, let it marinate in your spine. And remember this: there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but the pain of regret is even heavier. We are here. I am here. This is the Final Boss Podcast, the Final Boss community, Final Boss Nation, Final Boss family. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And remember, be balanced, be equal, and be smart. That's our show for tonight. Thank you for joining us. I know it was a lot, man. I know it was a lot. I hope you took some notes, and I have questions. I'm available for questions, man. Shoot me an email. Shoot me a DM. You have questions on this, I have answers. Let's whiteboard it and go down this community together. This is all informational, man. It's for information purposes only, right? And it's for entertainment purposes only. So with that being said, y'all have a great night. And I will see you again tomorrow for Special Guest Thursdays. That's right, Special Guest Thursdays. We're on 5 times a week, live at 9 p.m. Consistency is the key. Discipline is the nature, right? Motivation is the energy, and that energy is from discipline. 5 times a week, live, authenticity, giving you the best information that you can find on this internet. Y'all have a great night. And I have enjoyed this particular episode of Merger. Let's continue the quest, right? As thought leaders. Again, I am the architect of insight. Y'all have a great night.